So I think this will be kind of a fun class because I kind of got the idea for this class when we were chatting like in the Facebook group and everybody was chiming in. I don't know, was it you, Felicia, that had put on the question on there about the authorized users? And like everybody was chiming in, giving like a different,
Yeah, that was
thing that,
me.
yeah. So it was everybody was kind of saying, oh, you could do this or you could do this. There was a bunch of different answers in there for the
Right.
question. And what I realized was that all of those answers are really correct, right? Every one of those answers were correct in the right situation. So I thought it'd be cool to do a class where we just go over, tailoring strategies for the person, rather than just think there's only one way to do it or just always have the same dispute flow, always. You can change it up. It doesn't always have to be the same. And so we're just going to kind of do that today, go through some like critical thinking things and go through some examples. I actually created, let me see if I can put it in the chat for you guys. I created a little workbook for you too, where you could take notes and stuff during class. Uh,
Yes, we are.
Okay, perfect. So today the class, we're going to do credit repair mastery, thinking strategically to get better results. So really that just means like, how can we apply like critical thinking to our methods? Like when we're looking at credit reports so that we can choose the right strategy for each type of issue that's on the credit report. Because there is just a lot of different ways that you can handle things on the credit report, like a collection, a charge off, an authorized user account. There's a lot of different ways that you can really come to the same result, but maybe they need a different type of strategy based on their goals and the things that they're trying to do. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. We'll build some action plans that do align with the client goals and go over timelines and just take a lot of different things into consideration. So for today, I want you to learn out of this class today, and please feel free to ask questions as we go along. I'm not going to just hold questions to the end. So if you have one, you can interrupt me. It's fine. So we want to just start using critical thinking skills on every file, all the clients when they come in, right? We want to choose the right type of strategy for each type of credit issue that comes up on the credit report. And you're going to learn how to build personalized action plans that align with the client's goals and their timelines. Because timelines make a big difference too on what you're going to do. So if you have a client come in and they've got a timeline that's like a 60-day timeline, you have to be super aggressive. So disputes may not be the right way to go on a timeline like that. But if you have somebody that has, 6 months or a year or something like that, then you can do a whole different process for their credit repair. And we'll cover that. And that's what I want you to learn today. Okay. You're going to also understand the importance of tailoring the strategies. We're going to learn how to assess multiple options for common credit issues. Because like we were talking about earlier, an authorized user account, there's lots of different ways you could actually solve that problem. We're going to practice building the action plans for your client's long-term credit health and just gain confidence in adjusting your tactics mid-process, because I think that can be a little bit scary for people when you're doing credit repair, and it's scary sometimes to explain to the client as well why you're changing something, midway. Maybe something wasn't working out and you're going to have to go with a different tactic. So you also need to learn how to talk to the client about that where they're still feeling confident, because it's not, oh, this isn't working, I'm going to try something else type of thing. You just have to explain that there's a method to your madness and have the confidence to be able to talk to them about it. Okay. So the strategic repair mindset, this is to me, like that one size fits all method that's not the way to do credit repair, right? There's no one size fits all for credit repair. You have to have that client first, strategy based thinking, right? That's going to give you, how do I explain that? So when you're talking to your client, you have to do the consultation first, because that's where you learn how to adjust your strategy or how to build your entire strategy for credit repair. So if you have a client and you haven't really spoken to them and you haven't understood what their goals are and what they're trying to do in their life, like if you don't know that, hey, I have 60 days, I have money down on a house, I'm going to lose my earnings deposit if I don't get this loan, and you start putting them through a 6-month, program, you're just not going to get them the results or the things that they need, right? And there are ways to get results faster if you have to. It might cost the client more money, but there are ways to do that. So every credit item is not the same, and neither are your clients. Huge thing. I mean, this is like probably the overall thought for this entire class. Nothing is the same, right? Your clients are all different. Every item on their credit reports are different. So your strategies have to be different. All right. So we're going to focus on strategic flexibility, and we're going to ask questions, as we go today. Okay. So you guys feel free to, again, interrupt me. Let's have a healthy, back and forth during this class today, because it's going to be a lot coming at you. So if you have questions, make sure you definitely ask them. All right. 4 steps to strategic credit repair. It can really be broken down into these 4 things for your framework. All right. You can assess the client's goal. Okay. Number 1, first and foremost, assess their goal, talk to them, find out what their goal is, and then analyze the item in context. Okay. So when you're analyzing the collection or the charge off or whatever it may be, keep in mind what their goal is. Okay. Weigh all the available options that you have, and we're going to go over those options today so that you know what to do. And then choose the best fit based on their goal and the timing that they've given you. Okay. So we're just going to dive straight into the different ways you can work on these items, because we're going to go through authorized user accounts, and then we're going through collection accounts, we're going to go through charge-offs, and we're going to go through student loans. So those are for the MIG. There's more, but that's probably what we have time today to really cover. So we'll go for these first. All right, authorized user accounts. This is the one where we were having the discussion on that Facebook group, a few weeks ago. So I think it was Felicia was asking, what do I do about this authorized user account? So if you have a client that has an authorized user account and it's open, okay, it's an open account, it's showing late payments, maybe a 30, a 60, a 90-day late, or maybe 4 months ago there was some late payment. Maybe they're just high utilization, right? And a late payment. Maybe they've got double duty there. So you can just have them removed. Okay, that's a very easy fix on an authorized user account for a credit repair client. So if there's late payments that you don't like, or even if it's a good account and it's just maxed out and killing their utilization, so it's really hurting their score, You have to weigh that in too. So say that the whole reason their credit is so low is because their utilization is super high off the charts, and they have a authorized user account that's like a $20,000 limit, and the person that holds the primary user has maxed that out. You can just remove them. Even if it's a good account, just having the primary user just call in and remove them from that account might just fix the issue. So that's one way you can deal with it, even though it's a good account. I say never take away authorized user accounts that are good. Leave those alone. But if it's hurting their utilization in that way, totally take it off. Okay, you might solve the entire problem just from that one thing. Late payments, same thing. Have the primary user call and remove them from that account. This is very easy to do when it's open. Okay, and you can solve a lot of issues. So always weigh in those authorized user accounts anytime you do credit repair if you see them, because you can make a lot of difference in the credit score with these just by removing them. Okay. If it's already charged off, it's really hard to have the primary user at that point. Once it's charged off, they can't really call the bank and just have them removed from that account at that point. So if it's charged off, you're going to do the dispute on that one, right? There's with the FCRA, that's an actual violation if it's showing all of the history. Okay, so that means that an authorized user account can only show the authorized user's history and account balances for an authorized user account. Now, most of the time what's happening is they're showing the overall account balance. Okay, so that's an actual violation. You can send in a dispute for that violation. I have the dispute for that, and if Kimberly probably can add the McCarthy dispute guide here in the chat as well, so you guys have that dispute. So dispute it for that. If it doesn't come off, sometimes it'll come right off, sometimes it doesn't. So if it doesn't come off, then you can go ahead and send that to the attorney for litigation. So that's another way to get rid of an authorized user account. Okay. Do you guys have any questions on that as far as authorized users go and the different ways that you can address it?
Hey, Stephanie, question, Denise here. How are you doing?
Denise, did you have a question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, barely.
Okay. Let me try to, hold on, let me talk louder. Okay, how about that?
Yeah, much better. What's your question?
Okay, on authorized user. Say if you was an authorized user on an account and they had 2 maybe 30-day lates and they hit your credit report also, is that a violation? Okay, if you're an authorized user on an account and the actual user is late on their payments and the authorized user get hit with late payments also, is that a violation?
So no, it's not a violation. No, for the fact that you're getting because you inherit the history of the authorized user account. So that would not be a violation. The violation occurs when they show an amount that doesn't match your usage of that card. So if you've never used the card and they're showing a balance, different things on there, then that's a violation. And that's typically how it works. But the lates will definitely show. But you can get rid of it. You can get that off of there. Always remove it, yeah, if you see those late payments.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Always remove them off that authorized user account. Get it removed. Because you can get an authorized user account removed 100% of the time.
Okay.
One way or the other, you're going to be able to get it removed.
Okay, so it can be removed, but not a violation.
It's not a violation for the lates to show, no.
Okay, great. Okay.
But it is a violation if they're showing the wrong amount.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Stephanie, this is Ray. I had a couple of people on this. They had some authorized users. They purchased some trade lines, and with the trade lines, what happened was is that once they stay on for about, I mean, they active for about maybe what two reporting periods, and then after that, it's just on their credit report. So, but it's reflecting positive with a low credit usage. So, you know, a couple of people are willing to take it off. So, what do you suggest with that? Because it's still showing positive and it's really not negative.
So it's a good positive trade line showing on the account with low utilization?
Yes.
Yeah, those are fine. I would leave those alone.
Okay.
Yeah, leave it there. That's helping the score.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's go into collection accounts. Now, with collection accounts, you have a lot of different options on how you deal with a collection account. But you have to be super strategic when working with collections, okay? And when I say a collection, I'm talking about a third-party debt buyer, okay? We're talking LV&V funding, Midland funding, portfolio recovery, IC systems, those types of collection accounts. All right, now, if you have somebody on a really tight timeline, then to get a really quick score boost, you can definitely do a pay for delete, okay? How much score improvement you get on a collection account when you pay it and it gets deleted depends on how old it is, okay? It's completely tied to age. So if you have somebody that is saying, oh my God, I need 20 points or 15 points and I need it fast, like 30 days or 10 days, like, you know, you can do that. If they're working with a loan officer has something that's called a rapid rescore, okay? They can rapid rescore anything that you do fast, all right? So if you go in and get it paid, you get the deletion letter from the collection agency, then that client can actually go take that to their loan officer if they need it fast, if they can't wait the 30 days for you to go dispute it. And then they can go get a rapid rescore in like 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours, they can go get it done. But it's 100% tied to how old it is, you guys. A really old collection that's sitting on somebody's credit report is really not hurting their credit very much. It doesn't have a lot of impact. So they may not get a lot of points when you remove it, okay, if it's 6 years old or 5 or 6 years old. Now, if it's within the last 24 months and you do a pay for delete, they'll get a much higher score boost. How much, we don't know, but it's all based on how old that collection is, okay? So pay for delete, they're great, right? If you need a quick score boost, but never ever pay a collection account that is 6 years old if you are not 100% sure that they're going to do a deletion for that, and they're not going to give you a deletion letter. Because on the flip side, with a collection account, if you go in and you pay something that's 6 years old, it doesn't get removed. It actually drops the credit score, like substantially. And FICO is well aware of this. I talked to FICO about this when I was in one of their training, and they had the FICO guy there. And he said they're well aware that this is an issue in FICO 2, 4, and 5. So you don't see this happening on your side when you're dealing with Vantage scores, because that's with the credit monitoring, that's who we're dealing with, right? We're dealing with Vantage. So you don't really see that happening, that score drop happen on your side, because Vantage doesn't factor that in that way. They factor, now the scoring models are better. So if they pay something, even if it's old, its score is still going to improve. You know, it's factored out if it's paid, but not on FICO 2, 4, and 5, which is for mortgage lending. So you have to be really aware of that. And so never pay anything off that's really old, because they will get a score drop. I mean, I'm talking 50, 60 point score drop by paying off a collection that's really old, because it looks like new again. And that's why FICO explained to me, it looks like it's brand new again. And that's how it reports to the credit report. You get that 60 point drop. Okay, so that's very, very important. So if it's not really an urgent matter, do you have time and you don't have to do this in a month or 60 days or whatever, if you have 6 months to be working on their credit, no problem. Then you're going to do a debt validation letter first, right? Maybe you're going to validate the debt. Maybe you have your own process for collections that you do where you dispute with the bureaus. However you want to do that, it's fine. If you're not in any type of hurry, you can just do that, okay? Go through your actual process. And again, the old without deletion, you definitely want to leave that alone. So you have to make decisions sometimes on credit report. You can go dispute things, or you can just choose to leave it alone and just do nothing about it. If you know a collection is going to drop off in a few months and you dispute it, it's still not coming off, like you could literally just leave it and let it drop off. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so does anybody have questions on collection accounts? And just so you know, I also have a list of collection agencies that do a pay for delete. And we can provide you that as well. Kimberly, do you have that list handy that you can upload in the chat?
Yeah, and I am recording this, and if I can't find it, I will send all the links out tomorrow in the follow-up email with the replay. But I will look for the pay for delete right now.
Okay. Yeah, so how many people, just let us know in the chat, how many of you need that list of the collection agencies that do a pay for delete? Just let us know. I know some of you have probably been on some of my other trainings and you have it. So any questions on collections before we move on to charge-offs? Donna, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Sorry, I meant I needed the list as well. That's what I was referring to.
Oh, okay. Is that Shauna? Okay, Donna, you're on mute.
Is there an actual time frame that you recommend as far as the age of a collection account that you should file a discrepancy against? I know you said if it was old not to touch it, but say, I mean, what if it's like 2 years old? Is that too old or?
So just to make sure I understand your question, is there an age limit to when you should actually send a dispute?
No, it's. I guess what do you recommend as far as the age of a collection account to continue to fight it? I mean, I understand if it's like 5 or 6 years old that would be considered old and it could drop your score if you paid it, but say if it was like 2 years old.
So anything, this is what I recommend, anything that's 24 months or newer, I pay regardless. I pay even if it's not going to get deleted. Okay, so that they have, especially if they're getting a mortgage, because then they are not showing anything owed in that last 2 years. Because when they go look at DU, I used to do loans for 20 years too, and I've been a licensed loan officer. So when we run what's called like desktop underwriter or LP, what they do is it's really kind of looking at that last 24 months, to get approved. A lot of what they're looking for in DU. So I always like to clean the last 24 months. You want it as clean as possible. Okay, so unpaid collections are not good to have in the last 24 months. So even if it doesn't get deleted, I still recommend paying it in that time frame. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, and that was a really great question, by the way, because that is important. Anybody else have questions on collection accounts, third-party debt buyer accounts?
I have one, Steph.
Sure.
I've always, like the ones that are 12 to 24 months, I know how to deal with, and the ones that are really old, like you said, I leave them alone. But I always hesitate when it's like dead smack in the middle. Like I hesitate if I should have them settle it, if I should let it ride out, or if I dispute it, I'm afraid of lawsuits. Like it just, I've always get kind of hesitant with the middle ones.
Yeah, same. I think everybody does. I think that's like that little no man's land in there in the middle. So for those, I would say if you can do a pay for delete all day long, right? No problem. Go ahead and do that. It depends on how big they are too. I mean, it depends on who they're with. Again, all of it is factoring in all those little critical thinking things, you know, surrounding all of the different options that you have. Like we know, you know, Midland, Portfolio, they're going to sue. Okay. They're going to
Envy, they'll sue too, right?
Oh yeah. LVNV, they're going to sue.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, all of those will delete. So you know you
Yeah.
have an out on them too, right? They're going to sue whether you dispute them or not, just so you guys know. They're going to sue.
See, I never even
most of the
dispute them
time, you
'cause
didn't even trigger it. It's going to happen whether you did anything or not.
Okay.
What was your other question there, Belinda? I think I interrupted you.
No, I think that was it. I was gonna say, because yeah, a lot of times I won't even dispute, like do the verification thing because I'm afraid of sparking the lawsuit.
I promise you, they're going to sue anyway. It's coming down the pike. I mean, they're going after everybody now. I have noticed a lot lately, people getting sued. I mean, and not touching them, like not sending any type of dispute or anything, and people are definitely getting sued. The best way, you guys, to stop that lawsuit is just get in there and go settle it before it goes to judgment. Or if there's an issue, you know, you can always send it to litigation. But for the most part, if they do that, just get in there and settle it quick. Because they will settle for a lot less before it goes to judgment than after. Because then they have you over a barrel and they just don't care.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I have an account that is with Jefferson. And it is they took over a charge off that the customer had, that the charge off from the previous lender is zero balance and they charged it off, but Jefferson bought the loan. So now they have it as a collection, but both are still on the credit report.
Okay, so that is an excellent question, and this is something that comes up a lot that is very difficult to understand. So Jefferson, so who was the original creditor?
Chrysler Capital.
I'm sorry?
Chrysler Capital.
Okay, so the original creditor, when they charge it off, they have to report it as a zero balance if they sell it, okay? Because they can both be reporting it, but they have to show it as transferred. Then the collection agency can pick it up and then they show the balance. That's perfectly normal and is what happens in most cases. Okay. So what they can't do is they can't both report a balance. All right. So if you have the furnisher reporting a balance on the charge off, and then you also have a collection agency for that same account reporting the balance on that, that's an FCRA violation.
Okay.
Okay, that's an actual violation. You can litigate that all day, and you're going to get one of them taken off. But it is perfectly legitimate, and the way it should be. The original creditor should be reporting a zero balance. And just because it says a charge-off is nothing more than an accounting term. It just means they charged it off their books. It doesn't mean you don't owe the debt, because I see a lot out there around that where people are like, yeah, I don't owe it anymore. You know, it's charged off. Yes, you absolutely still owe the debt. All that is just an accounting term stating that they charged it off their books, and now they either sold it or they have a collection agency picking it up.
So do we just leave that alone then? Or do
The
we
collection?
try to have it, do we just leave that alone, or do you try to get it completely off the credit?
Yeah, I would probably, if Jefferson Capital will do a pay for delete, I would pay it and get it deleted.